Alright everyone, today's the day. The day that I tackle my favorite book and pretty much my primary reason for going into books to movies. It's Hannibal Day. This is the darkest Beauty and the Beast story ever told, and you'll find out why at the end, because I like to save the best details for last. Another reason why this is one of the reasons why I want to get into books to movies is because the writers for the movie and the TV show really dogged it with this book. This is a beautiful story, it really is, in spite of all its darkness. And the movie and the show adaptations were so half-assed, it beggars the question, why did you do it? So let's get down to it. The drug raid fiasco leading to the railroading of Clarice Starling are exactly the same, as is Dr. Lecter being found in Florence, Italy, and his entrapment involving that corrupted and disgraced inspector in Florence. The introduction to the wealthy family, the Vergers, is different, though. The mangled and disabled Mason has a younger sister who has motives of her own. And while she's in the TV show, she's not put in the TV show like she is in the book. She is just a plain, simple, rich girl in the TV show. In the book, she's a competitive bodybuilder, and she would have been played more convincingly by either Gwen Christie from Game of Thrones or Erica Irvin from the 4th and 8th seasons of American Horror Story. The revenge plot by Mason is the same, but it's twisted around quite a bit in the TV show to omit Clarice Starling and plan kind of a full face transplant of Will Graham's face onto Mason. But obviously it doesn't work. Little sister gets her revenge in the TV show exactly like in the book. She's missing from the movie, by the way, completely, which is so sad. Anyway, this revenge is quite gruesome and quite well-deserved, considering what a piece of shit Mason is. She takes his pet eel, moray eel with those nasty teeth, and she plugs it into his mouth. This eel eats his tongue and he drowns in his own blood. And Hannibal Lecter leaves her a voicemail taking all the credit. It's wonderful. Now, other than covering Will Graham's time in the psych ward, as referenced in Red Dragon, and uncovering why Hannibal Lecter has such a disdain for Jack Crawford, that's covered in the show, but other than that, the show is dull. I mean, all of Season 2 is dedicated to finding the Chesapeake Ripper, which was just, it was lifted off of the opening credits from Red Dragon and just run with. The details and the whole thing are just weak, and it seemed like mostly the whole purpose behind the Hannibal TV show was for a chance to see how gross producers of national TV shows can be. I mean, there's the bloody eagle, a slow burn scene, a human totem pole, a dissected person, human firefly, someone propped up on antlers, a human being rearticulated into a cello, a Colombian necktie, very original, a wound diagram, that was in Red Dragon, and last but not least, a human body mushroom garden. Thomas Harris didn't write all these things, so I guess there's some pretty dark minds in television production too. What the heck, why not? Now, back to this story here. The movie fate of Clarice Starling is very disappointing. All we know is she got fired from the FBI, and we don't know her fate after that. In the book, after the whole pig farm fiasco goes down, and she's been incapacitated by tranquilizer darts, and has escaped with Hannibal Lecter and taken back to his lakeside manor. She's nursed back to health by him, and hypnotized into his kind of therapy. Now recall Jack Crawford's advice from Silence of the Lambs. Remember, you do not want Hannibal Lecter inside your head. Well, guess what, folks? He gets inside her head and he does not plan to move. He's in there. And he makes her confront all her demons with her the death of her father, and then some. Then we get to the infamous brain-eating scene. Only here's where it gets pretty wild from the book. The movie, come on. The guy eat his own brain? That's just a chance to be gross. In the book, Paul Krellner does not eat his own brain. Clarice eats his brain. It's her kind of silent vengeance for all the crap he put her through, and because she's under Dr. Lecter's influence. And she eats so much of it that he is reduced to just this babbling, drooling tard before Dr. Lecter puts him out of his misery with a crossbow and tells her that the sound of a crossbow, if she ever hears it in the future, will release her from her hypnosis. After that, Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling consummate their relationship. And then they disappear into obscurity as a couple. The psych nurse Barney from Silence of the Lambs and from a little bit of Hannibal happen upon them from a distance while he's kind of on a vacation in Argentina with a girlfriend. Behold. Follow this handsome couple from the opera? All right, but very carefully. At the Millennium, Buenos Aires is possessed by the tango and the night has a pulse. The Mercedes, windows down to let in the music from the dance clubs, purrs through the Recoleta district to the Avenida Alvear and disappears into the courtyard of an exquisite Beaux Arts building near the French embassy. The air is soft, and a late supper is laid on the terrace of the top floor, but the servants are gone. Morale is high among the servants in this house, but there is an iron discipline among them. They are forbidden to enter the top floor of the mansion before noon, or after service of the first course at dinner. Dr. Lecter and Clarice Starling often talk at dinner in languages other than Starling's native English. She had college French and Spanish to build on, and she has found she has a good ear. They speak Italian a lot at meal times. She finds a curious freedom in the visual nuances of the language. Sometimes our couple dances at dinner time. Sometimes they do not finish dinner. Their relationship has a great deal to do with the penetration of Clarice Starling, which she avidly welcomes and encourages. It has much to do with the envelopment of Hannibal Lecter. So far beyond the bounds of his experience, it is possible that Clarice Starling could frighten him. Sex is a splendid structure they add to every day. Clarice Starling's memory palace is building as well. It shares some rooms with Dr. Lecter's own memory palace. He has discovered her in there several times, but her own palace grows on its own. It is full of new things. She can visit her father there. Hannah is at pasture there. Jack Crawford is there. And when she chooses to see him bent over his desk after Crawford was home for a month from the hospital, the chest pains came again in the night. Instead of calling an ambulance and going through it all again, he chose simply to roll over to the solace of his late wife's side of the bed. Starling learned of Crawford's death during one of Dr. Lecter's regular visits to the FBI public website to admire his likeness among the 10 most wanted. The picture the Bureau is using of Dr. Lecter remains a comfortable 2 faces behind. After Starling read Jack Crawford's obituary, she walked by herself for most of the day, and she was glad to come home at evening. A year ago, she had one of her own emeralds set in a ring. It is engraved inside with AM-CS. Ardelia Mapp received it in an untraceable wrapper with a note. Dear Ardelia, I'm fine and better than fine. Don't look for me. I love you. I'm sorry I scared you. Burn this, Starling. Mapp took the ring to the Shenandoah River where Starling used to run. She walked a long way with it clutched in her hand, angry, hot-eyed, ready to throw the ring into the water, imagining it flashing in the air and the small plop. In the end, she put it on her finger and shoved her fist in her pocket. Map doesn't cry much. She walked a long way until she could be quiet. It was dark when she got back to her car. It is hard to know what Starling remembers of the old life, what she chooses to keep. The drugs that held her in the first days have had no part in their lives for a long time, nor the long talks with the single light source in the room. Occasionally, on purpose, Dr. Lecter drops a teacup to shatter on the floor. He is satisfied when it does not gather itself together. For many months now, he has not seen Misha in his dreams. Some day perhaps a couple come together, or somewhere Starling may hear a crossbow string and come to some unwilled awakening, if indeed she even finds sleep. We'll withdraw now. While they are dancing on the terrace, the wise Barney has left town, and we must follow his example. For either of them to discover us will be fatal. We can only learn so much and live. And that ends Hannibal, as it ends this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was worth it to me. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and see you next time.